That's it.
We always did Mangalarti, Maharaj, of course.
Huh?
Of course we did Mangalarti. Maybe you weren't there.
Sometimes we did. Sometimes we did. Sometimes we just tumbled out the door onto the buses.
Well, maybe in the early days. But when I was coming, you know, there was always Mangalarti. I mean, there's Thakurji there.
But not everyone attends because often people are running around checking their seat numbers. Okay.
Another thing. Oh yeah.
Too much service in the background. Right?
Okay. Where's Tarun? Where's our master of ceremonies?
So who is singing? I think Radhika Didi, are you singing? Okay, so if you want, you're welcome to start.
Shri Shri Guru Gandhavika Giridhari Radha Vino Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Radha Govinda Ju Ki Jai, Radha Ras Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Bhakti Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Govinda Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Raksha Srila Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Datta Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Shri Rup Siddhanti Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Pradyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vishnupada Stotar Sat Shri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Paramahamsa Shri Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Sachidananda Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Nitilil Pravishram Vaishnav Sabapam Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Gauri Vedanta Chai Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai, Srila Narottam Srinivas Ramananda Prabhu Chai Ki Jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai, Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jivagopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramadari Shri Gaur Prasad Vrinda Ki Jai, Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Antadeep Maipa Simantadeep Gautramadip Majadeep Kaladeep Ruchadeep Janadeep Motadramadip Viradvip Patmakashinavadeep Dham Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopakopka Govardhan Radha-Svanatmaka Shri Vraja-mandala Ki Jai, Shri Vraja-mandala Parikrama Ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai, Gopeshwar Mahadeva Ki Jai, Shri Radha-Kund Shyam-Kund Ganga Devi Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai, Nrsimha Bhagavani Ki Jai, Bhakti Pravesh Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Sampradaya Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayani Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this morning we'll sing Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram. It's page 340 in the songbook. Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udharam Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udharam Nindita Hataka Kanti Kalevara Nindita Hataka Kanti Kalevara Garvita Maraka Maharam Garvita Maraka Maharam Sakhe Kalaya Gaura Udhara Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udharam Madhukar Ranjita Malati Mandita Madhukara Ranjita Malati Mandita Jita Gana Kunjita Kesham Jita Gana Kunjita Kesham Tilaka Vinindita Shashadara Rupaka Tilaka Vinindita Shashadara Rupaka Bhuvana Manohara Vesham Bhuvana Manohara Vesham Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udharam Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udharam Madhu Madhura Smita Lobita Tanubrita Madhu Madhura Smita Lobita Tanubrita Anupama Bhava Vilasham Anupama Bhava Vilasham Nidhuvana Nagari Mohita Manasa Nidhuvana Nagari Mohita Manasa Vikatita Gada Gadhabha Sham Vikatita Gadhabha Sham Sakhe Kalaya Gaura Udhara Sakhe Kalaya Gaura Udhara Paramaya Kinchana Kinchana Naragana Paramaya Kinchana Kinchana Naragana Karuna Vitarana Shila Karuna Vitarana Shila Shobita Duramati Radha-Ramana Shobita Duramati Radha-Ramana Nama Namakanirupamalila Sakhe Kalaya Gauramudhara Sakhe Kalaya Gauramudhara Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya Giri Govardhan 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 Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribol 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol Nitai Gaura Haribol 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Haribol
Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Thank you. Beautiful.
That's very nice. Thank you for your kirtan again. It's a really nice kirtan. I really like that kirtan. So everyone, thank you for coming. This is our 7th day of these morning programs. I would say 7th day of Parikrama, but we didn't go on Parikrama on the first day. So it's our 6th day of Parikrama, but a whole week of these morning programs. Which is very exciting that we're 1 week in, and even more exciting that we have another 3 weeks or so more of these wonderful programs. And today is another wonderful day where we are visiting some very auspicious places. I just realized I didn't invoke Omakyana Dasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So before continuing, offer my Dhanavad pranams to the lotus feet of my Gurudev, Shri Srila Bhaktivedanta Bhan Goswami Maharaj, to the lotus feet of my Param Gurudevs, Shri Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj and Shri Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, to Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to all our Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varg, to all Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, to all devotees listening, to everyone listening, and especially to Pujapad Nemi Maharaj and Pujapad Tridani Maharaj, who we're so fortunate to be able to hear from on such a frequent basis, and who have really made this time so that they can do this. I know that other things in schedules have been thrown out, etc. So I'm feeling very fortunate. So as I was saying, today we're going to some very auspicious, beautiful places. We start in Nidhuvana with Pujapad Nemi Maharaj, and then we are going to Temple of Radha-Gokulananda with Pujapad Tridani Maharaj. Then we're going back to Nemi Maharaj for Radha-Ramana, and then we will end with Tridani Maharaj again at Radha-Gopinatha Mandir. But before we do all of that, we're going to first go to Tridani Maharaj to show us the route that we're taking today on the Parikrama. So without further ado, you can begin, Maharaj, and I will attempt again badly to draw the route as you go.
Okay, wonderful, Tarunji. Thank you so much. Om Agnati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Taralaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Prabhajantam Anapetyam Apetya Prityam Dvaipayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammaya Tayo Tarabhoginidustam Sarvabhutam Fidim Munim Anatushmi Bhaktya Vihina Raparara Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapana Prinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Varami Radham Karuna Bharadram Tatomanaskete Chapi. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Gurudev Nityalila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nityalila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord who are on this thread today, and all our Sridandi Sannyasis, Srila Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj, and any guests who may be watching later on. Thank you all so much for attending today to make it possible for us to have these meetings or have this parikrama. So today, as Tarunji said, we're going to go locally. So Manjalali, just one map at a time, please. Manjalali?
You don't see this one map?
No, I see six, 7 pictures.
Oh, I have to do it again. I don't know, it just doesn't pick it up when I change. Oh, sorry. This was the wrong one. But here's it also marked. I will do the other one.
Okay, so Vrindavan, as we understand, is a place filled with temples. More than 5,000 temples are present in Vrindavan. And today we are going to very auspicious temples. But just for a moment to reflect on the glories of this Dham that Srila Gurudev, my Gurudev, relates at the beginning of his Vraja-mandala Parikrama book. He talks about the king of Tirthas, Tirtharaj, whose place is Prayag. And one day Narad was singing and he asked Tirtharaj that the story about how he was delegated by Krishna directly to be the king of all holy places, all holy dhams. And then Narad, he inquires from Tirtharaj that does Vrindavan come and offer you its homage as all the other holy tirthas of India come? And Tirtharaj said no. So Narad was asking him, well, why is that? And Tirtharaj didn't have an answer. So after Narad had left, then Tirtharaj went to Krishna and said, you delegated me to be the king of all holy places, Prayag. So you gave me the title Tirtharaj. And yet Vrindavan doesn't come and offer me homage as do all the other holy places. And then Krishna, he went into a very deep mood, it's described, when he was meditating on Vrindavan. And he explained to Tirtharaj that actually Vrindavan and himself are non-different. They are the same. And that Vrindavan is the shelter of his most beloved Swarup Shakti, his most beloved consort, Sri Radhika. Actually, Vrindavan belongs to Radhika. And in this way, he pacified Tirtharaj, the king of all Tirthas. So in other words, Vrindavan, in fact, is beyond even the consideration of any Tirtha. It's beyond that. It's something exceptional by itself. So we are so fortunate to be here in Vrindavan in this month of Kartik on my Gurudev's centennial, visiting to all these holy places. And Narad, during this conversation with Tirtharaj, he says a very beautiful quote from the Padma Purana. He says, Vrindavanasya samyogat punastvam taruna nava danyam vrindavanam tena bhakti niryati yatra cha. And this is meaning, oh Devi, this is Bhakti Devi. By coming to Vrindavan, you have again become a fresh young woman. Thus, this Vrindavan Dham, where Bhakti is dancing everywhere, is blessed. So this point of Bhakti is our whole focus of our attention. And this can very easily be accessed by spending time in this holy Dham. Even though we're doing it virtually, this is non-different to actually being here ourselves directly. So today, if you can expand that map, you can see that we are going first of all to the forest of Nidhuvana inside that red circle. And we're going to walk along the bank of the Jamuna, and then we're going to come to Nidhuvana, and then we're going to go around Nidhuvana, around the wall that shelters Nidhuvana, and then we're going to go to the left, and we're going to go to number 20, which will be Gokulananda, and then we're going to come to number 19, which is Radha-Ramana, and then we're going to go to the next number there. It looks like a 13. I'm not sure if anyone can correct me. It looks like a 13 there. So that's 20, 19, and 13 there. Those three, yes, 18. That's it, Tara. 18, is it? Okay, 18. Yes, so 18, 19, and 20. So this is our route today. Most auspicious, most glorious, most beautiful. So today, without further delay, our dear beloved Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj, he will guide us in and pour the nectar of Nidhuvana into our ears. Jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Gol Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Om Gyan Timiran Hasyam Gyananjana Shnakayam Chaksharan Melitang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Namaniti Namane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prashtaya Bhutale Shishima Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Iti Namane Vanchakalpatarabhyascha Kripasandhabhyaivacha Putitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're so fortunate to be taking part in this virtual parikrama under the guidance of our beloved Srila Gurudev and his beloved representatives.
Oh, Nemi Maharaj, can I just interrupt you? I omitted to play a 3-minute video of all the different places that we're going to actually look at. Do you think I should show it now or afterwards?
Well, you may as well show it now, I suppose.
And then we can all see exactly where we're going, and then we could carry on from there. That was my mistake. Okay, Manjalali, you put that video up, please, and people can see. Yes. Sorry, Maharaj.
So this is Radha-Ramana.
Yes.
Mukunda Murari, Bolo Hari Hari. Krishna Hayagriva. Nisingha Bhamana Shri Madhusudana Rajendra Nandana Shyama Nisingha Bhamana Nisingha Bhamana Shri Madhusudana Rajendra Nandana Shyama Rajendra Nandana Putana Ghatana Kaitava Satana Putana Ghatana Kaitava Satana Putana Jaya Dasarathi Rama Jaya Dasarathi Rama Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Rama Krishna Hayagriva Jashoda Dulala Govinda Gopala Vrindavana Puranda Jashoda Dulale Govinda Gopala Vrindavana Puranda Gopi Priya Jana Radha-Ramana Gopi Priya
Nidhuvana.
Gopi Priya Jana Radha-Ramana Gopi Priya Jana Bhuvana Sundara Bara Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva Bolo Hari.
This is Srimati Radhika playing Krishna's flute.
Nidhuvana. Beautiful.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that video. I just have to say, can we share this video, because I definitely copy, and I'm making the startling assumption that many other people watching will want a copy too. So
Janardhan Prabhu, he made this video, Janardhan from Seattle. He made it in about 20 minutes this morning, very kindly, just for us.
That's very nice.
Made.
Oh wow. Yeah, he's very talented at all of it.
Actually, gentlemen, just as an idea, Maharaj, if Janardhan sends that to you, forward it to me, and then when after the program, because on Zoom chat it deletes it, you can't get Zoom chat, and I can put it on the next day's notice saying video available and put the link in each day.
That would be nice. And also they might want it for the evening program. It's such a nice
Good point. That's a great point. Yeah. Thanks,
It finishes up with Nidhuvana, which is just the perfect timing for our dear Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj too.
I'll just write a post to Jarden to ask them to send it to me, and then
walk right in there. Yeah.
That's not.
Maybe.
Sorry to cut you off there, Maharaj, but I just wanted to get that picture in. I think it was good. Okay, you're back on, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. My dandavats to all my beloved masters, all dear devotees to Krishna. So coming to Nidhuvana today, Nidhu means treasure, and also Nidhu means Surata Krida, which means the amorous pastimes, Sri Radha Krishna's amorous pastimes. And this especially takes place in Nidhuvana. It's an amazing, magical place. We saw on the film, on the video, you could see like a sea of trees and green and like that. But when you get granular, you get down, these trees, extraordinary network of linked kunjas and nikunjas. It's just a magical place I'd like to get lost in forever. So beautiful. You come in the main entrance and there's a pathway round, and we come to, there's on the right hand side the Vishaka Kund, coming under arching trees. On the right hand side there's Vishaka Kund, where Krishna made a kunda, made a well with his flute for Vishaka Devi to quench her thirst. And then on the left of that is the place where Swami Haridas, this is not the same as our Haridas Thakur, quite different personality. Swami Haridas, I'll speak a little later about him. He found Banki Bihari. So Gurudev says that he actually found Banki Bihari in Vishaka Kund. Banki Bihari is one of the most popular deities in Braj, in Vrindavan. His temple is in the center of Vrindavan, not in Nidhuvana. And then moving on from there, coming round, again through arching trees along a pathway. And then there's a place where Radha and Krishna spend the night. And again, just like in Seva Kunj, the Pandas, they put out articles for them, for their beloved use during the night. There's kumkum, toothbrushes, and different articles. And in the morning, they're scattered and used. So it's very mystical. Nidhuvana is a very, very mystical place. Coming round from there, again, through these avenues, under avenues of beautiful bending trees. Then we come to a place of Rasa Leela. And then a little beyond that, there's a small temple. And there we saw just at the end, it looks like white Krishna playing a flute and two white personalities on the side of them. No, this is Srimati Radhika playing Krishna's flute. And on each side are Lalita Vishaka. So how she came to get his flute, that's a pastime. And then a little further on from that, there's quite a beautiful building where Swami Haridas's bhajan kutir and Samadhi is. This beautiful crooked stick. So Swami Haridas, he was a very profound Vaishnava and great devotional singer. He would only sing for himself. And he had, not for himself, he would only sing himself for his beloved Banki Bihariji. So he had two very eminent disciples. One was called Tansen, and the other one was called Baijubabra. The Tansen was a very prominent singer in the court of Emperor Akbar. So we've heard about Aurangzeb, who's extremely envious and destructive and murderous, so destructive to our Vaishnava dharma. But Akbar, Emperor Akbar, was actually favorable to Vaishnavas. And Tansen sang in his court. So on one occasion, Akbar wanted to hear Tansen's teacher, Swami Haridas. He wanted to hear him singing. Tansen said, "This is not possible. He will never sing for anybody else. He'll only sing for the deity." Okay, so you dress yourself in ordinary dress and you come with me. So then Tansen and Emperor Akbar, they went to see, they went to have darshan of Swami Haridas. And Swami Haridas said to Tansen, "So I want to hear you singing." And Tansen sang in such a way, it's very, very beautiful, singing with his veena. And Akbar was completely charmed. But Tansen deliberately made some mistakes. So then Swami Haridas, he became irritated. He said, "No, not like that. Give me that veena." So he took the veena from Tansen, and then he sang as it should have been sung. And in this way, Emperor Akbar heard the divine devotional singing of Swami Haridas. Tansen, another one or two pastimes with Tansen. On one occasion, some of the other court members became envious, and they actually wanted to kill him. So they told Emperor Akbar that Tansen could sing in such a wonderful rag that he could actually create fire. And so Akbar told Tansen that, "I want to hear you singing in this rag." Now, Tansen knew that if he sang in that rag, he himself was going to catch fire. He'd burn up. So he had his wife come with buckets of water. And he sang in this rag, satisfied Akbar. And at the same time, his wife was pouring water on him so as to save his life. Then another occasion, there was a contest between Tansen and Bajibavara, the other disciple of Swami Haridas. So they stood on the edge of a forest, and Tansen sang in such a way that deer came out of the forest, and he put garlands on their necks. And then when he stopped singing, they went back into the forest. And said, "So now you can equal this." And then Bajibavara, he sang, and the deer came out of the forest, and he took the garlands off the necks of the deer. And we heard that on one occasion, Srila Gurudev he related to his disciples how he was with his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Param Gurudev. And Param Gurudev was giving Harikatha, and the deer came out of the forest and came close to Param Gurudev. And Srila Gurudev, when he was relating this pastime, he was crying. So beautiful moods. In this forest, in Nidhuvana, this is the place where Radha and Krishna, they take rest at night. So the Nishanta Leela, at the end of night, this takes place here in Nidhuvana. Of course, it takes place in different places, but certainly it takes place here. So Srila Gurudev particularly glorifies these pastimes. And these are the pastimes that Srila Keshav Maharaj has glorified in his Mangalarti song. Mangala Shri Guru Gaura, Mangala Marathi. Mangala Shri Radha Krishna, Jugala Pariti. Why Mangala? Mangala Arti, it's Mangala time, auspicious time, because this is the opportunity for the gopis, especially for the manjaris, for them to perform service. So their life is service. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur has described the manjaris that they're in floods of tears if they can't perform service, even for a split second. So Radha and Krishna waking but not wanting to wake. They're really absorbed in their moods, having spent the night together. Gurudev mentions that these are described in, there's a poem by Srila Vishnu Chakravartita, Surata, I can't remember the whole name of the poem. Anyway. So at the end, they're waking, not wanting to wake, and it's described also in Sri Krishna Bhavanamrita and Govinda Lilamrita. And Brinda brings all the birds and they're singing to wake up Radha and Krishna. They don't want to wake up. And then she sends a cockerel. Cock-a-doodle-doo. And Radha says, go crow in hell. And then Brinda's getting really worried because just like in the Mangalarti song, Tava Jagarani Vishwa, that when you wake up, everybody's waking up. So she's warning that, hey, you have to get up now, get back before everyone gets up, and then your absence will be noticed. So Brinda brings the monkey Kakati. And Kakati says, oh, the sun rays are coming. They're like matted locks, but this matted locks is like Jotila. And when Radha and Krishna hear this one word, Jotila, it's like a mantra. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says their patience becomes like a drop of water in the palm of a hand. So they're prepared to get up. The Sakis come in, they get them beautifully dressed and decorated, and Lalita Devi offers arati, and then they leave for their respective places in deep separation, very, very deep separation. So all this goes on here. Then Radhika sang Kalaya Gaura Mudaram. And there, Chaitanya Sachinanda Gaura Hari is described in, what's that? Nidhuvana Nagari Mohita Manasa. So his mind is bewildered in the moods of Nidhuvana Nagari, the hero of Nidhuvana. This is Srimati Radhika. So the gopis, they're laughing at Krishna. That, oh, you've taken sannyas now. But look, what color is your dress? Your dress is the color of rag, amorous mellows, and you're constantly associating with the gopis in your mind. So what kind of a sannyasi are you? Krishna can't get away with anything, especially left-wing gopis. They won't let him get away with anything. So Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he's written a very beautiful prayer, Ashtakam, describing this dream that Srimati Radhika had, where she saw a golden Brahman, young Brahman boy, and she became completely absorbed. And when she woke up, she was very confused, bewildered, and she couldn't understand because usually she's only absorbed in Krishna. So what's happened? How can she be absorbed in this unfamiliar Brahman boy? Radha said, beloved mine, tonight I saw a dream, and there I saw a river shore, just like Vrindavan here. Many expert dancers there, so much like our Vrindavan, many drums and instruments for making music fine. There, oh there, a Brahmin jewel, splendorous lightning gold, who tossed the whole of these three worlds in an ocean of pure love. Sometimes calling Krishna, hey, or Radha, where are you? Sometimes falling to the ground, sometimes crazy, wild. Then in jubilation strong and overpowered by joy, he danced in blazing ecstasy with his beloved friends. Everyone within this world, from Lord Brahma to grass, was overwhelmed and showered in praise. He made all cry aloud. As I gazed upon this jewel, my heart became confused. If he is you, beloved true, then where am I? And if that being is I alone, then where are you? Confusion deep came in my sleep as I beheld that dream. Krishna said, inquisitive girl, I showed my other forms, like Shrisha, Lord of Lakshmi, but you were not amazed. Why has this golden Brahmana surprised you in this way? Why are you bewildered and asking, who is he? Speaking thus to his beloved, Krishna thought and smiled, then touched his friend, the Kaustubh jewel, who understood his mind, and glowed and showed those pastimes all that Radhika had seen, with moving and non-moving beings within her puzzling dream. Beholding thus, Shri Radhika reflected for a while. Beloved, now I know your heart. I know what makes you smile. You are that very Brahmana. Now all is clear to me. I understand your words and thoughts. I think I'm also here. This Kaustubh jewel delights us, and you so have made him shine. And in this way, you've shown yourself to all with life and breath. You will, by your own power appear, display your pastimes dear, and you again will plunge the world in the ocean of pure love. The learned scholar Garga told the king of Vraja dear, the perfect truth you surely will with golden hue appear. This dream of mine is true and real, beyond a trace of doubt. There's no touch of illusion there. Directly I've seen you. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that if somebody recites this prayer, then they'll have no illusion about the nature of Satchidananda and Gaura Hari. That Srimati Radhika is looking at this in her dream. She's seeing this beautiful Brahmana. And when he calls out Krishna, Krishna, she's thinking, who can that be? Is that me? And then when he's thinking Radhe, Radhe, she's thinking, but if that's Krishna, then where am I? So then finally, she's convinced that actually this Brahmana is actually the form of Krishna with her. They're going to come in a combined form. Just like yesterday, we were discussing that originally Radha and Krishna are one. And for the purpose of pastimes, so that Krishna can enjoy his pararamata, his aspect, where he's deriving ras and pleasure, divine transcendental pleasure, from his pastimes with Srimati Radhika and other associates, which is more than his atmaramata. So originally they're one, they divided as two for the purpose of pastimes, but then again, appearing as one personality, Satchidananda Gaura Hari, where Krishna is relishing the moods of Srimati Radhika. In the Braj pastimes, he knows that Srimati Radhika's love is far, far higher than his. His love for her is far more than, her love for him is far more than his love for her. And he wants to taste that, but he's not qualified. As the object of love, he's not qualified to taste that. So begging for her mood, and Srimati Radhika also grants him her bodily hue, her golden hue, because she says, your body is so soft. You don't know what it's like to roll on the ground in separation from you. So I'll have to give you my bodily hue as well to protect you. So he's coming with his golden mood, golden hue, and her divine mood, so that Krishna himself can forget himself and become completely absorbed in the mood of Srimati Radhika, who is in separation from Krishna. Krishna is absorbed in the mood of Srimati Radhika when she is absorbed in deep separation from Krishna. And in that separation from Krishna, she's actually tasting his divine presence. So viyog means not meeting, but it also means, vi means not, or it means vishesh rupena, is special. So viyog, apparent not meeting, actually means a special meeting. And this mood of separation is the soul, the wealth of the Gaudiya line, our Gaudiya line. And all of our teachers are instructing us and showing by their example the importance of separation. Not that we want Radha and Krishna to be separated, but especially in separation, more of Krishna is like understood. It's like the rays of the sun. Sun in India is not so welcome. It's very, very hot, but it reveals everything. A meeting is like the rays of the moon. It's very, very pleasing, but not so much is seen. So we're encouraged to cultivate these moods of separation, because this will enable us to advance in our bhakti. So Gurudev has emphasized this, said the only way to advance is to remember the moods of our acharyas, to pray for the moods of our acharyas, to weep for the moods of our acharyas. Srila Govinda Maharaj said, I've established a crying school in Bhuvaneshwar. My Guru Maharaj also emphasized this, that we advance in bhakti as we advance in these moods of separation. Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatarubhishcha, Kripa Sindhu-Devacha, Putitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Maharaji, that was, I'm just about recovering. You've done what you normally do to me, which is send me in a total trance.
I should just ring a bell when I'm talking. You'll be out like a light.
Oh, you can totally control me with that music. Oh, incredible. Actually got rid of, I had a slight headache as well. It's completely gone. A couple of questions and a request. At the beginning, you talked about Nidhu, as in Nidhuvana, meaning treasure, and then you also said it meant amorous pastimes of Radha and Krishna, but there was a word you slipped in between, which I couldn't catch. Would you mind repeating it?
I slipped in the word, which is there in the Vraja-mandala Parikrama book, Surata Krida. Surata means transcendently delectable, amorous pastimes. No, Krida means pastimes. Surata is it's a confidential word.
So how do you get from Surata Krida to Nidhu?
You have to ask Gurudev.
Okay.
Okay. If you look in the Amarakosha dictionary, for example, you might find some clue there.
Okay, quick courses on the Gopal.
I'm just quoting from my rasic authority, our beloved Srila Gurudev.
Thank you. That amazing prayer by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which you put to that incredible music. Where do we find that, Maharaj?
It's Sri Swapna Vilas Amrit. Sri Swapna Vilas Amrita. Swapna means dream. Amrita means nectar. Vilas means pastime. So Swapna Vilas Amrit.
Amrit. Amazing. And I would beg you to, if you could record that on WhatsApp and send it to me, I would be so grateful, and I could distribute it if you wouldn't mind.
I just recorded it.
Yeah, I was going to reiterate what Yashoda's saying. You did just record it, Maharaj, but you're also simultaneously streaming it. So if we're able to get a recording where it's just a video, then it will come through 100% smoothly, I think. Whereas this probably came through like 90% smoothly. You know.
Yeah, I also lost one computer also at the same time.
It's remarkable, Maharaj. And my last question is, I've heard it before, but I really want to capture it in my heart and practice it. You said, Govinda Maharaj said about the crying school, remember the mood of our acharyas, pray for the moods of our acharyas, and
weep for the moods of our acharyas.
Oh.
It's in one purport in Sri Bhajan Rahasya. It's like the most incredible throwaway.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavats Maharaj.
19 minutes, 45 seconds.
You're very good.
Oh, sorry.
Maharaj?
Plus, you showed us questions. I messed up with your timing.
Maharaj, you can just jump in when I'm speaking, and as soon as I see you up on the screen, I'll know to wind down.
No, you have to learn discipline.
You have to help me.
Actually, technically, it's my job to tell
Yeah,
everyone
Tarun, come on.
that they're going over. So if you want, I can set a timer.
Yes,
and
20 minutes each thing.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna, while you're doing your invocation, I'm gonna run upstairs and get my signs. If you keep your eye on one eye on my screen, I'll hold them up as you come close to the end.
Okay. But I've already said my invocation today, so I'll just say a very, very brief invocation now. Okay. I'm ready to go? Okay. Okay, Tarunji. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Srila Gurudev Ki Jai Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we've just heard the extraordinary confidential pastime in Nidhuvana. This is a completely confidential, esoteric, incredible, extraordinary forest where the Ras Lila is performed and so many confidential pastimes. But now we're going to walk around the outside of the boundary wall of this Nidhuvana forest. And then we're going to go to the left and we're going to walk down towards the Jamuna. And on our right, they will be the Gokulananda temple. So this is a very beautiful atmosphere in this temple. And we come in through a very attractive gate. And now it has a monkey grill all the way through it. So we won't be in any danger coming through this area. And as we come into a division in the path, and there's a Tulsi Stamba in the middle. And then if we take a left first, before we enter the temple on the right, we come into a very, very attractive courtyard. And in that courtyard are a number of beautiful samadhis. And the principal samadhi there, a very raised, high, beautiful samadhi, is Lokanath Goswami. He is the principal mahant, we can say, of this temple. Even though he didn't actually build it himself, but nevertheless, his deities, they enhance the beautiful altar here, we're going to see in a moment. So Lokanath Goswami, it's as if he's presiding over a family of personalities. And within that family of personalities, there's Narottam Das Thakur is there very close beside Lokanath. As we know, that Narottam was the only principal or only disciple of Lokanath Goswami. Lokanath Goswami was born in the same year as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is 1486. In this temple and in Gopinath temple and in Radha-Ramana, we hear a great deal of the Harikatha is about the personalities and their deities that manifested in this temple. It's not the same mood as in Nidhuvana, where we hear the direct pastimes and sweet meetings between Radha and Krishna. These temples are more about the deities and the personalities who placed the deities in these temples. So Lokanath Goswami was, as I just said, the same age as Mahaprabhu. And he was one of the first, him and his nephew, Burgaba Goswami, came first to Vrindavan. And Lokanath Goswami's life was very long. He lived practically 120 years. He lived a long life in the jungles of Vrindavan. And one day he was in a kund, staying in a kund called Kishori Kund, which is near Kokilvan, one of the forests which is quite near Jabat and quite near Nandagaon. And he was meditating there, and he had a great desire to worship a Thakurji. And suddenly a Brahmin appeared and he requested Lokanath Goswami, you please take care of Krishna. And he placed Krishna in the lap of Lokanath Goswami. And this is Vinod, the personality Vinod. At that time, Radharani is not established the same way as she is established today, because it was on the energy of the Goswamis, particularly Baladev Vidyabhushan, whose deities are also here on the altar. And by their hard work and their literatures, they established in a very authentic way the worship of Sri Radha. Because previous to Mahaprabhu's advent, of course, the consort of Radhika wasn't worshipped in the same way that it's worshipped today, that she's worshipped today. So the Brahmana placed Thakurji in Lokanath's lap. And then Lokanath initially was somewhat startled and didn't know where this Brahman came from. And the Brahman just requested, please, you just feed this Thakurji. And then the Brahman is described, disappeared. So this was the manifestation of Radha Vinod, but without Radha. This is just Vinod. And then Lokanath Goswami, he takes very careful care of this gorgeous, beautiful deity. And he actually carries him in a bag on his neck as he wanders around in Braj. And at one point, Rupa Goswami, he comes and requests Lokanath Goswami to please bring this deity into Vrindavan. Bring it into Vrindavan, and so we can worship this beautiful deity in Vrindavan. And Lokanath Goswami, he complies and he brings the deity of Vinod into Vrindavan. And then he's worshipping very nicely. Simultaneously, there is the deity on the altar, which is a larger deity of Vijay Govinda. And this deity, these deities are Baladev Vidyabhushan's deities. And Baladev Vidyabhushan, as we know, is the disciple of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, his deities are also on the altar. So in this compound where we're standing, before we actually go into the temple, there is Lokanath, as I'm describing now. And then on his right, there is Narottam. And next to Narottam, there is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And there's also Ganga Narayan Chakravarti, who is the disciple also, or the follower of Lokanath Goswami. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he comes in this line. So this line is very important. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he expresses this lineage in the first chapter of the Ras Leela, when he's describing in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Sarat Purnima on the 29th chapter. He's describing sorry, someone just put a text and I was trying to read at the same time. He's describing what was I saying? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yes, he's describing his Guru Parampara. So in this courtyard, it's a very sweet, beautiful atmosphere of all these personalities. And my Gurudev would love to circumambulate regularly. Whenever he was in Vrindavan, he would always come to this temple and very reverentially walk around, circumambulate this whole complex where the Goswamis, where Lokanath, Narottam, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Ganga Narayan are present in this area. And then we come through from there. Now we come into the temple itself. And in the temple itself, we see the gorgeous altar with Radha Vinod now. Now Radharani has manifested with Vinod. And also we see Vijay Govinda, the deities of Baladev Vidyabhushan. And we see the smallest deities on the altar are Gokulananda. Yes, so thank you, Manjulali. Thank you. So you can see here, if you open it out, the biggest deities are Vijay, Govinda. These are Baladev Vidyabhushan's deities. And then the next deities there, they are Radha Vinod of Lokanath Goswami. And then we see in the front, if you can see, there's little, very small deities. And that is Gokulananda, are the smallest deities in the front there. Yes. And then you see the Mahaprabhu next to Radha Vinod. This Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Narottam. So this whole temple complex is a mood of the family relationships of the descendants and disciples coming from Lokanath Goswami and Narottam Das Thakur and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. These are the personalities, and of course, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. So we remember deeply these personalities when we come here. Also on the altar, there is the beautiful Govardhan Shila that Raghunath Das Goswami was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu held this Govardhan Shila for a number of years, and he would weep, and he would place this Govardhan Shila on his eyes and on his heart and on his head, etc. And he would worship this Govardhan Shila with his tears. And at one point, he gives this Govardhan Shila to Raghunath to worship, who brings to Vrindavan. And then Raghunath, on the request again of Rupa Goswami, he brings that Govardhan Shila into the temple. Originally, all three of these deities were in separate temples. Radha Vinod and Govinda, Vijay Govinda, and Gokulananda. But then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's actually the one responsible for building this particular temple, this Radha-Gokulananda, where we are now. So this is the pastimes of the personalities who reside here. And when we go there, we take shelter and remember deeply with great happiness and joy at the copious amounts of energy and effort these personalities went to establish these holy places in Vrindavan for our benefit today. When we come here today, it is by their effort that these places have actually manifested. And this, of course, was the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to these personalities. Lokanath Goswami, he's a direct disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit would accept all the disciples who were taking shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the foremost of his disciples is Lokanath Goswami and Burgava Goswami. They were also there at that time. So at this place, we remember with great happiness and joy these personalities who performed such severe austerities in this land of Vrindavan. When Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, of course, the landscape was totally different and so beautiful. But then after 4,000 years, Vraja-mandala, the grandson of Krishna, he established many beautiful deities. And it's these deities that were revealing themselves to the Goswamis, just like I described about the Vinod Thakurji, this Radha Vinod that manifested to Lokanath Goswami. These were all original deities that had been there previously and were established by Vraja-mandala. And then due to the intense devotion of the Goswamis, these deities were manifesting just like Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami had manifested for him the Radha Govinda or Govinda Dev. First of all, it was just Govinda Dev. Similarly, when we come to Gopinath, it was just Gopinath alone initially that was actually discovered in the just by the Jamuna. So we'll discuss that very soon when we come to there. So these are our meditations on these illustrious personalities who have established the prominence of worship in Vrindavan, to give great joy and happiness to all the pilgrims and yatris who visit over the years, and to establish the principles, of course, of the teachings of Mahaprabhu. Lokanath Goswami, as we know, he didn't want his name mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita due to his extreme humility, but he's mentioned in the Bhakti Ratnakara. He's mentioned there, and in a number of other books he's mentioned the extraordinary tapasya, etc. he performed because they were jungles at that time, 500 years ago. Everything had become completely covered over. So they were living in that type of condition. And yet today we have all these material facilities and opulences, which are in fact covering the real Vrindavan. Today it's described that Vrindavan is gradually becoming more covered over, whereas Navadvip Dham is going to be revealed within the next few thousand years, etc. Navadvip Dham is like manifesting itself, whereas Vrindavan is actually gradually becoming covered over, as we see, by so many materialistic buildings, etc., and dealings that are going on. So in that way, this holy Dham externally is becoming somewhat covered. But for the devotees, for the sadhaks, Vrindavan Dham is always the most precious place for us to come and perform our bhajan and to remember these exemplary personalities with great happiness and pleasure. Lokanath Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is our meditation here. And these three beautiful deities there, on which the original deities are now in Jaipur due to the atrocious Aurangzeb, who came and brutally smashed so many of these temples here in Vrindavan. We can't imagine the sort of horrors that he perpetrated. But the deities were very safely installed in Jaipur. Jaipur, they call today New Vrindavan, because it has so many beautiful Radha-Govinda, Radha-Damodar, Radha-Gopinatha, Radha-Vinod Bihari, the original. These deities on the altar are the Pratibhu deities. So this is something of the description. Generally, when we come to the Gokulananda on our Parikrama, we usually dovetail it to be the disappearance day of Narottam Das Thakur. So generally, the Harikatha is all about Narottam Das Thakur. But on our Parikrama now, this year, we're celebrating the disappearance day of Narottam Das Thakur in a few days from now. So I won't begin to describe that pastime. So this is the pastime in Gokulananda, an extremely, extremely beautiful, wonderful temple to be in. Shri Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Radha-Vinod Bihari ki jai, Shri Vijay Govinda ji ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai, Narottam Das Thakur ki jai, Shri Lokanath Goswami ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Maharaji. Dandavats, a quick question, and forgive me if I was inattentive and didn't catch this, but you described the pastime of the manifestation of the Vinod deity, and then explained...
That was in Radha-Kund. I didn't say much about that, actually.
The Brahmin who appeared...
No, sorry. The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's deity of Gokulananda appeared in Radha-Kund. I omitted that, but yes, carry on.
No, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about when I can't remember the name, but when he went to, it would have been Lokanath Das, I think. No, yeah, when he went to the meditated by, Lokanath Goswami, when he meditated by the lake and he was wanting a Thakurji, and then the Brahmin came with Vinod, and then later you said that Radha manifested, so it became Radha Vinod, but did you mention anything about how she manifested?
I'm not sure how she manifested. All I know is that the Thakurjis of Radharani were not prominent. Actually, Janava Mata, she came and she placed many Radharani Thakurjis in Vrindavan in her visit. She placed also in Gopinath Mandir. So this is when Radharani's glories had taken a deeper root, because up until this point, the esoteric teachings of Mahaprabhu were extremely confidential, just like the story you know of when Baladeva Vibhushan went to Jaipur, so that the king of Jaipur was able to have, he already had Govinda Dev that had come there because the Brahmins had taken him to safety from Vrindavan, right? All the deities had been taken out, but he wanted to worship Govinda Dev with Radhika, and the smarter Brahmanas wouldn't allow it. So this was probably at the beginning of the 1700s, I think. Maybe about 1670, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to go there and establish the Govinda Basya. And there's a beautiful pastime of that where he just in 7 or 8 days, by the mercy of Govinda Dev himself, he manifests this beautiful Basya, which is like the Praman, the authentic Praman, to establish Radhika on the altar in Jaipur. So this was at about 1660, 1670, that time, because Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he left this world in 1674, and he was too old to go to that meeting in Jaipur, so he sends his disciple Baladeva Vidyabhushan. So it would have been when Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was advanced in age. So that would have been the time when this Govinda Basya would have been written at a place called Galta, just outside of Jaipur. So it's interesting to appreciate how Radhika, I mean, we just accept because we've never seen anything else except Radha and Krishna.
Yeah.
But previously, it just wasn't like that. It was just, they were just worshipping Krishna in so many instances.
Like
certainly,
Banki Bihari.
Yes, Banki Bihari, same. Oh, Nemi Maharaj has just come on. I think he's reminded me that my time is up.
No. Carry on.
No,
Well,
it's amazing history, actually. And I suppose because Mahaprabhu didn't spend so much time in Vrindavan, this whole kind of percolation and then ultimately inundation of Radharani with Krishna in Vrindavan, it happens over time, well after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, it's not up to Mahaprabhu in a sense. It's up to Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and the other Goswamis. Mahaprabhu himself, he's not establishing these deities. It's his sevaks, it's Rupa Goswami and the Manjaris in their affection for Radhika. It's their affection for Radhika that place her on all the altars. But who could accept the Parakiya Ras, you see? This is the point Mahaprabhu has come to.
There's an ontological history there, Maharaj. Just like you taught me the ontological history of the 4 Sampradayas, there's an ontological history threading what you're talking about here all the way to Gurudev, giving us the pinnacle of devotion. Yes, we can see that. It's wonderful to see these threads, Yashoda. Yeah. I also like to see these connecting threads. It's but like it's a drama. It's an unfolding drama. Yes. Absolutely. Because 500 years ago, Radharani was not prominent on the altars in Braj. I mean, when Rupa Goswami discovers Govinda Dev, he just discovers Govinda Dev. He doesn't discover Radha and Govinda. Wow. And it shows you how lucky we are, actually. When you talk about it in these threads, these terms, these themes, you think, wow, we've been born at a time when this is just available everywhere. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Yashoda. You've got it. That's exactly it. So it's not only, because I often say, like, we've been born within 500 years of Mahaprabhu's appearance, but we may have not come across Radharani if we were born 50 years after, paradoxically, because it wasn't so available. Wow. 100 years after. Wow. Even 200 years after. Wow. I mean, Baladeva Vidyabhushan, what's 1650? So what's the mathematics of that? Mahaprabhu left this world in 32? No, he left in 1534. 1534. So 1534 to 1650. How long is that? 116 years.
So 116 years, Radharani wasn't even established
Wow.
in Vrindavan conclusively.
Wow.
And also there was the backdrop of the horrific Muslim tyrannical ruler of Aurangzeb, which was really keeping things, you know, in check as far as the flourishing of the Vaishnava culture. So that's a historical point. But my time has come to an end.
Thanks, Maharaj. Sorry,
And
before you go, the 1650 date, the significance of that was?
Baladev Vidyabhushan going to Jaipur to give his Govinda Bhasya, to give the authenticity, to have Radha stand beside Govinda. I mean, the most famous temple in the world, basically, one of them, is the Radha-Govinda Ji of Jaipur. So he had to establish that over the smarter Brahmins, etc., who weren't allowing Radhika. Okay.
Not so smart, not so smarter, huh?
No, different.
I think at that with that joke, it's the end of Yashoda's time. I think this end period doesn't count as you, Maharaj. It counts as Yashoda's time. I'm timing him. And
tell Nemi Maharaj so he doesn't scold me.
Yeah. And Yashoda's time works in very special, confidential ways. But I can confidentially reveal that it gets docked every time he tells a terrible bad joke. He gets docked at 60 seconds. So. Anyway, thank you very much for your guitar, Maharaj. And I wanted to say I really appreciated these leelas and hearing of the different personalities. Thank you in our Guru Varg. It's really nice to hear about them. I didn't realize they had so many of their deities, Baladev, Vidyabhushan Prabhu, Narottam Das Thakurs, and Lokanath Goswamis in one temple. So that's really
and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay, I didn't write that down. I'm gonna write that down. Okay. Next, without further ado, we'll move back to Pujapad Nemi Maharaj, who will be speaking on Radha-Ramana.
Gurve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktai Tadvaktaya Namo Namaha Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshurandritanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj ki jai, Shri Rupanukur Varti ki jai, I go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
If you want any pictures, Maharaj, you can just...
Oh yeah, go. Let's go with the pictures now.
Okay, Manjalali. She has some pictures of Radha-Ramana. Okay.
Can you see it? Yeah.
Yes, that's just the assembly. Okay.
We have...
You can comment, Maharaj, as it goes through.
Well, Radha-Ramana's there, a tiny little dot in that picture there. He's very Russian with Mili, very, very affectionate, beautiful deity, and in Braj, so he's like darling deity, you can say, Radha-Ramana. So much appreciated.
That's a beautiful one, Maharaj. Okay.
So as we come out of Radha-Gokulananda temple, there's there's an alley just opposite. And on the left-hand side there's the Samadhi of Srila Bhaktikama Govinda Maharaj. So those of us who know, who were fortunate to meet with him, to associate with him, to hear his Harikatha, he's an object of very, very deep affection, an amazing devotee. Sri Bhaktikama Govinda Maharaj ki jai. So going on to Radha-Ramana, this is a very prominent, very famous temple, a very prominent, very famous deity in in Braj, founded by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Gopal Bhatta Goswami is from South India. And on one occasion, well, when Lord Chaitanya was on pilgrimage in South India at the time of Chaturmasya, he came to Sri Rangam. So Venkat Bhatt, he became friends with Venkat Bhatt, and Venkat Bhatt invited him that you please stay with us during the 4 months of rainy season, because you can't move, it's not possible to travel. So he stayed with them that time, cutting a long story short. So they were in the mood of worshipping Lakshmi Narayan. Venkat Bhatt's son was Gopal Bhatt. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was with them for some time, and then there was an amazing conversation, which is recorded in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he revealed to Venkat Bhatt that actually the supreme deity is not Lakshmi Narayan, it's Radha Krishna. So they all came in the mood of worshipping Radha Krishna. Venkat Bhatt's brother, Prabodhananda Saraswati, he came to Vrindavan. And Gopal Bhatt, then there's another Tirumal Bhatt. Gopal Bhatt was deeply, deeply in love with Mahaprabhu. On one occasion, he saw him as Radha Krishna. He saw him as in his householder figure. Before his hair was shaved, before he's cutting his sannyas dress. He was very, very deeply attached to Lord Chaitanya. So he stayed. When Lord Chaitanya left, he stayed with his family for some time. And then later he went to Vrindavan via Varanasi. And there he studied under the direction of a disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Madhusudan Bhattacharyapati. So when he came to Braj, he was extremely learned. And Srila Jiva Goswami actually used much of his literature. He edited it, and he acknowledges that. So Gopal Bhatt, somewhere, he was in, what's the name of the river? Where Shalagram Shila manifests. So he's taking bath, and Shalagram Shila literally jumped into his hand. So somehow or other, he understood that he was intended to worship the Shalagram Shila, although he didn't have a specific inclination to do that. So he came back to Braj, but he was, in his mind, he's thinking, oh, I wish that I had a deity with arms, legs, a beautiful face, that I can decorate like my other Goswami, Gandaki, thank you. Like other Goswamis. He was longing like that. And Srila Bharati Maharaj narrated, so the day after Nrsimha Chaturdasi, Nrsimha Day, he appears from a stone pillar and annihilates the demon Hiranyakashipu. So the next day, Gopal Bhatt is praying like in anguish. He really so deeply wanted to have a deity. And he's saying, if you can appear from a column, then you can appear from a Shila. And at night, Gurudev says, so at night, Radha-Ramana actually manifested from that Shalagram Shila. Astounding. So we can just imagine that. You know, when somebody has a baby, just like recently here, we had Cheryl gave birth. So everybody's, oh, beautiful baby photographs and everything like that. So we can just imagine the moods of the Goswamis when they hear that Gopal Bhatt's got a baby. He's got a baby Krishna. Radha-Ramanji. Big celebrations. And Gurudev said, I've never had darshan, but he said, if you get darshan of his back, you can see his back is like Shalagram Shila. So Shri Radha-Ramanji, he's the only deity, main deity, who didn't leave Vrindavan at the time of the Muslims. We related before, Rajman Singh came and he took the main deities to Jaipur. But Radha-Raman, because he's so small, so they're worshipping him in secret. And just like when they were creating deities of Krishna after Krishna's departure, now I don't remember who was kind of giving this giving their comments on the deities. Either it was Rohini, but I think it was Uttara. I'm not sure. Anyway, one female associate of Krishna was saying that, oh, they manifested the Madan Mohan. Oh, his lotus feet are like Krishna's lotus feet. And then they manifested Govindaji and said, his face is like Krishna's face. And then manifested Gopinathji, said, oh, his chest is like Krishna's chest. So Krishna's chest is actually the ultimate refuge of the gopis. So Gopinathji is the final. We'll be hearing about Gopinathji. I won't enlarge there. So Shri Radha-Ramanji, he, all in one deity, he's got the lotus feet of Madan Mohan, the beautiful face of Govindaji, and the beautiful chest of, aspired for chest of Shri Gopinathji. And there's such a tradition there of service to the deity. Well, I first came in contact with that tradition when I was in Sweden in 83 or 84. And Srivats Goswami came at that time. He was a guest of my godbrother, Vegavan Prabhu. So he was relating how they make beautiful colored rice flour. They make a beautiful picture every day. And then at night they sweep it away. And then the next day they make another one. There's a particular time during the summer months. And then sometimes they were flooding the temple to keep it cool for Radha-Ramanji. Now it's especially a center of musical, I don't like to say performance, but different devotees, like Goswamiji, who sang last night. So different devotees come there in the evening and they're singing and playing musical instruments for the pleasure of the deity. It's very, very beautiful devotional atmosphere there. Very beautiful. So Radha-Raman, Srila Gurudev has explained this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Hari-Rama, Rama is not Balaram, it's not Parasaram, it's not Ramachandra. It means Radhika-Raman Krishna. Radhika-Raman means Krishna who's performing beautiful pastimes of Srimati Radhika. And this name, Raman, is very dear to Srila Gurudev. He said, just like we know that, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nijasara Vishaktis. So Krishna's put all of his energies into his holy names, but he put the energies of that form into the names of that form. So if we sing, for example, that if we sing the names of Nrsimhadev, that will have one effect. But if we sing the names of Krishna, that'll have a different effect. But also amongst the names of Krishna, some are more lovingly connected than others. So on one occasion, Srila Gurudev said, when he was in America in the first year, he said, if you, out of everything that I say, if you just can remember one thing, every day you sing Radha-Ramana Hari. There's two songs in particular, Radha-Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Radha-Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. And also Radha-Ramana Hari Bo, Jai Jai Radha-Ramana Hari Bo. So remembering Radha-Ramana Hari. So Hari is Krishna, Radha. And remembering the Sarup name of our Gurudev. So Radha-Ramana Hari means that Guru Saki is right there with Radhan Hari, with Radhan Krishna, just like Sri Rupa Goswami is describing. In the middle may be Radha and Krishna having an argument, and this Manjari is like in between them in the middle of this quarrel, beautiful loving quarrel. So Radha-Raman means it's loving pastimes, and that opens up the whole gamut of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Just like in the Chatushloki, it said that Vyatireka Abhiraya, how's that? It's saying that when a serious student should investigate this both directly and indirectly. So directly means serious student, means one who's actually absorbed in Vraja-mandala, serving the divine couple Radha and Krishna. Directly means meeting, and indirectly means separation. So Srila Gurudev actually has said that sometimes you may have to save Srimati Radhika's life. When she's so deeply absorbed in separation, Manjaris are consoling her. Sometimes they're offering garland, prasadi garlands from Krishna and reviving Srimati Radhika, or giving Harikatha, remembering their pastimes. So serving Radhika in separation, this is also, this is one aspect. So Srila Gurudev has emphasized that aspect of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, see, Krishna means it's all attractive. Now, if we're going to actually come towards the absolute truth, then the absolute truth must be attractive. Otherwise, we're going to be going off all over the place. Different people will go different places. Why would we come to the absolute, supreme absolute truth if the supreme absolute truth wasn't attractive? And also, if we didn't derive transcendental pleasure, then how can we possibly come towards the supreme absolute truth? Because we're pleasure seeking. So what is the Sanskrit word that means all attractive and which gives transcendental pleasure? This is Krishna. So Krishna has an intention, and the energy by which he can fulfill his intentions, the energy by which he can fulfill his desires. In Sanskrit, this is called Hara. And then if we're addressing Radha and Krishna together, it's Hare Krishna. The vocative of Hara is Hare. Vocative of Krishna is Krishna. But there's another, so we're praying to Radha and Krishna that you're the supreme absolute truth. Please attract me to you. And please let me be attracted by this transcendental pleasure. And this is the business of Radha-Ramana, that they're giving us transcendental pleasure, which attracts us away from our mundane so-called pleasure, which from a transcendental platform is actually suffering. But we can't see that. I can't see that. I'm thinking, oh, this is so nice. Then the other aspect is that, just like children, so children think basically the parents just live for them. But the parents don't just live for the children. The parents have their own life, and mother and father actually have their own pastimes, if you like, their own life together, aside from their life with the children. So when a devotee becomes more mature in devotional service, so they'll not just think that, oh, I want to come, like for example, instead of just thinking, I want to go to heaven, or the Vaishnava equivalent of that is, I want to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, nice. What are you going to do there? Well, serve Krishna. What's your service? Have you realized that? No, they'll figure it out. But when a devotee becomes much more mature, just like when a child becomes more mature, that instead of saying, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, give me this, give me that, they'll say, what would you like? So when a devotee becomes more mature, they think, well, what would Krishna like? What would Radha and Krishna like? Perhaps they have their own, pastimes. Maybe I can take part in those beautiful pastimes. So those beautiful pastimes between Krishna and his energy, that is Raman. So Radha-Ramana is Radha and Krishna when they're performing their own beautiful pastimes. And if we, Hare Ram, means it's a prayer to Radha and Krishna in their beautiful pastimes that you please accept me as a member of your ensemble, your transcendental ensemble. Please grant me the grace that I can actually enter into your inner circle where, with a mood of total devotion to your happiness, I can fulfill my original nature in that way. So the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. It's praying that we can become attracted to the Supreme Absolute Truth, that we can prefer that transcendental, divine transcendental pleasure to our mundane pleasures, and that we can actually take part in their divine pleasure pastimes. So Radha-Ramana is very, very dear to Srila Gurudev, dear to all the deity is very dear to all the devotees, and this kirtan, Radha-Ramana Hari, is also extremely dear to our Srila Gurudev. So remembering these things, I offer my obeisances to devotees, to our Guru Varga, Hare Krishna, Vanchakalpa Tarubhasya, Kripasin, Devacha, Putitanam Bhavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah. Hare Krishna.
Jai, Hari Bol. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Really appreciate this guitar and hearing about Radha-Ramana. And this is actually, I think, the first day from when I got sick. So it's in Vrindavan. So I missed this Parikrama day. So I'm feeling a lot of good fortune to be able to be taken to these places that I wasn't able to go to beforehand. So thank you very much, Maharaj.
Maharaji, thank you. Radha-Ramana's super special in my heart, because when I first went to Vrindavan, Budara took me to Vrindavan. That's when I first met Tridandi Maharaj. And every morning we used to walk to Radha-Ramana, get barked at by the dogs early in the morning. We used to arrive before even the big bells rung. And I remember how loud that bell was, and or is, and what a beautiful introduction that was to Vrindavan, and giving some rupees every day for some prasadam and circumambulating Radha-Ramana. Very, very special place indeed. I just have a very small question. At the beginning, you referred to Gopal Bhatt Goswami being in South India along with another personality, but I couldn't make out the name of that other personality.
There were three brothers. Vyankat Bhatt, that's the father of Gopal Bhatt.
Vyankat.
Vyankat Bhatt. That's the father. And then his brother Tirumal Bhatt and Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. Prabodhananda. So Pujpat Jidani Maharaj glorified him maybe the first day of the actual Parikrama.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So thank you. Okay, so we'll now go to our next and final destination, which is Sri Radha-Gopinatha Mandir. And as Pujapad Jidani Maharaj showed us earlier, it's not very far from where we are, so it's only a short walk, just down the road, right? If I remember rightly. We're leaving one temple and arriving at another. So Maharaj will now speak for around 20 minutes here.
Jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. So, yes, we're visiting all these incredible temples and getting the atmosphere of the devotion of the devotees who built and installed the phenomenal deities that we have inspiration from today. So these three temples, Gokulananda, Radha-Ramana, and Gopinath, are more or less in a curve, very close to each other. So now we've come into our final temple today of Shri Radha-Gopinatha. So this Gopinath deity was found again, just Gopinath alone, within the sands of the Jamuna. There were two great renounced sadhaks, and they were performing their bhajan in this area, worshipping Radha Krishna Yugal, which is the embodiment of Gopinath. In fact, Gopinath is the most confidential person. We have Madan Mohan, represents the Sambandha. Then we have Radha Govinda, represents the Abhideya, and Gopinath represents the Prayojan. So this confidential aspect of Gopinath is always our consideration when we come to this beautiful, very large temple glorifying Gopinath. So these two personalities, oh, you have a picture there, yes, thank you. I think you've got a few pictures also, Manjalali.
I just have this one and the one of the deity itself.
Okay, put the deities on, yeah. So these two personalities, this is Paramananda Bhattacharya and his dear friend Madhu Pandit. And they were worshipping in this location. And one day, Paramananda Bhattacharya, he goes to the Jamuna and he discovers this Gopinath deity. This, again, is a Pratibhu deity, which means the actual original deity, again, is in Jaipur, very beautifully being worshipped. But this deity, Pratibhu, means non-different. It's a non-different personality. We see that Gopinath, he always looks so exquisitely beautiful. So this is the Pratibhu deity of Gopinath. And so Paramananda Bhattacharya discovered Gopinath, and then together with Madhu Pandit, the two of them would worship Gopinath, and then Paramananda Bhattacharya leaves this world, and just Madhu Pandit, he has the sole responsibility of caring for that Gopinath deity. And as we actually enter the temple, there's a very large Samadhi area just dedicated to the glorification of Madhu Pandit. Just like in the Radha-Ramana temple, there's a very large section just dedicated to the glorification of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So these personalities, the founders of these deities, are very much glorified because these deities responded to the purity of these personalities' hearts. This is why they manifested. Although Brajanava, Krishna's grandson, he had already installed these deities 4,500 years ago. So now they're being revealed again for the pleasure of Mahaprabhu's mission in this world to support the nourishment of the devotees and give them darshan and give them enthusiasm, etc., to see these amazing, beautiful forms of the deities. So this Gopinath deity is established here by Madhu Pandit. Madhu Pandit, in fact, is described as being Mandali Sakhi. That's a siddha. Madhu Pandit is a siddha. He's a realized soul. So his eternal name is Manali Sakhi. Manali Sakhi. And she is in the camp of Champakalata Sakhi. So he's revealed his full Siddha Deha for the world to appreciate that. So Madhu Pandit is also a direct disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. So this is the sort of time frame we can understand in the 1500s, in the maybe 1510. Oh no, later than that, probably 1520, 1530 would be when Madhu Pandit would have been initiated directly by Gadadhar Pandit. So this deity was installed, and then they placed a Radharani next to Gopinath. But a little while later, it's described that Janavamata, Nityananda's consort, who, as we heard from Mukunda Prabhu, was very responsible for donating and arranging for many deities of Radha to be brought into Braj. This is the service. Ultimately, Janavamata we know is Ananga Manjari. And Ananga Manjari is also the confidential personality of Nityananda Prabhu. So we can just gather the appreciation of where this Shakti is manifesting from. It's manifesting principally from Baladev Nityananda of Janava Mata. So it's described that Janava Mata, she comes to the Gopinath temple and she has a feeling that the Radharani that they have there on the altar, that they've placed on the altar at this time, next to Gopinath, is a little too small, that it doesn't seem to be a comfortable size for Gopinath. So she expresses the opinion to the Pujari. And then that evening, she has a dream where Gopinath himself, he says, yes, you please bring a larger Sri Radha Thakurji to place on my left-hand side. So Janava Mata, she does that. Now, quite a bit later, a few years later, when Janava Mata is leaving her body, she manifests a deity form of herself. And it's described how she infuses herself within that deity form. And that deity form is carried to the Gopinath temple. And to be placed, she requests to be placed in a chamber close beside Gopinath. But when the pujaris, they receive this deity of Janava Mata, they are concerned and not sure whether to put this deity beside Gopinath or exactly the location. And then the pujaris, is described, they have a dream where Gopinath himself, he comes and he directs the pujaris, no, this is Ananga Manjari. This is a form of Ananga Manjari, and you place her on my left, and Radhika can stay on my right. So this is the lineup, so to speak, we have today. We have Ananga Manjari is on Gopinath's left, which is usually reserved for Radhika. But in this instance, Radhika is going to be on Krishna's right-hand side. Ananga Manjari, of course, is the younger sister of Sri Radhika. And we have, interestingly, the same situation in Radha-Kund. In Radha-Kund, there's a very beautiful Gopinath deity there. And on his left-hand side, he has Ananga Manjari. And on his right, he has Sri Radhika. Radhika is allowing Ananga Manjari to consort with Krishna. Ananga Manjari also has an opportunity to be with Krishna in a confidential way. And in Radha-Kund, right in front of that Gopinath deity, is Swananda Sukhada Kunj, which is the actual place of residence of Ananga Manjari. So this same Ananga Manjari is manifesting now in Vrindavan, where we are today, next to Gopinath. On his left-hand side, that's Ananga Manjari. On the right is Sri Radhika. So this is who we're appreciating today. But as I said, these are the Pratibhu deities, and the originals are in Jaipur. And if we have the time at some point to go and visit Jaipur, we can see directly these original, incredibly beautiful deities. This deity of Gopinath, interestingly, here all over Navadvip and Nadia and Bengal, there are many great followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many of them also had the Gopinath deity. There are many of these eternal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who were previously Sakhis in Krishna's pastimes, and they manifest many Gopinath deities. There's probably 7 or 8 or more Gopinath deities just around Navadvip that were manifested by the Nitya Siddha Parikas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Gopinath is a very beautiful personality representing the closest confidential pastimes. Gopinath, that can either be translated as the Lord of the Gopis or that personality who is submissive to the moods of the Gopis. Srila Gurudev would always give this interpretation, that personality, that nut, Gopinath, that person who has his head bowed at the feet of the Gopis. So this is the mood of Gopinath in this temple. So it's a very large temple, very beautiful temple, and there are many beautiful festivals taking place there. It's not as popular as the Radha-Ramana temple, where we've just come from. The Radha-Ramana temple is extremely popular. Gopinath temple today doesn't have as many visitors, and yet it's an extremely sacred and auspicious place to have visited and to gain the mercy of Radha-Gopinath and Ananga Manjari and Madhu Pandit. So we hear of all these personalities when we visit this gorgeous temple. Shri Radha-Gopinath Ju Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha. Kripa Sindhavevicha. Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. I think I kept my time.
Yes.
Spot on, Maharaj. Spot on.
Okay.
And the sun kind of went behind a cloud just as you finished. Just
Really?
yeah, it was like now the Qatar is ending. The day is less bright.
We've seen such extraordinary deities and confidential pastime places today. Nidhuvana, Gokulananda, Radha-Vinod, Radha-Ramana, and Gopinath to complete. This is such a package, we can say, of speciality and auspicious blessings that we're receiving today.
That whole story of Janavamata and Ananga Manjari and her infusing herself into that deity is just extraordinary. One quick question, I couldn't quite keep up with you. Before she manifested herself in that deity form, you said something about she had a dream, but before the dream, she asked the Pujari something. Could you just repeat what she asked the Pujari and what her dream
Previously, originally, she requested the Pujari that she wanted to send a larger deity of Sri Radhika, which she actually did. And then that small original Radhika is on the altar now as Lalita Sakhi. In the front there is Lalita Sakhi is there. And another Radha is there. So this is, and then the Ananga Manjari came later than this, came after that.
What was her dream? Her dream was what after that, you said?
Her dream was to confirm the larger deity of Radhika. That was her dream.
Okay, thank you.
And then some time out, it's described in the Bhaktimala. One book called the Bhaktimala is describing this pastime of Janavadevi manifesting, infusing the deity of Ananga Manjari. So these are... Okay. Beautiful deities. Beautiful to become familiar with all these deities. Okay, Tarunji.
Okay, thank you so much for familiarizing us with these deities. It's very beautiful to hear about the pastimes of how they were manifested, and yes, hopefully on one of the days we'll be able to steal away, maybe hire a bus and go visit Jaipur and see these deities, see Radha Govinda, Radha-Gopinath, and I remember the other was Radha-Vinod, and the other deities in Jaipur.
Radha-Gokulananda.
But yeah, very beautiful, and so many people are in Jaipur visiting these mandirs. I wanted to just say if you have a question, you send it to me very quickly. I might be able to ask it before we go to Kirtan. But I just wanted to read out under his permission Jiva Pavan Prabhu's message, which I thought was just really sweet, which was a memory of his of one moment on Parikrama, and he said, I remember standing behind Srila Gurudev when he was having darshan of Sri Sri Radha-Ramana. An old Brijbashi lady in front of Srila Gurudev suddenly realized she was in front of him, and with great respect turned and folded her hands to him in apology. Srila Gurudev was so humble towards her as he showed her his palms and nodded his head as if saying, no harm, please stay where you are. And then he later said that Srila Gurudev was just mainly absorbed in this darshan, and that he felt so fortunate to be there and to witness this moment. So thank you so much for sharing that with us all. I really appreciate that. And if anyone else has memories of Parikrama with Srila Gurudev, we'd love to hear them, and you can comment them, and I'll hopefully be able to read them out. Anyway, I think we have come to the end of our time. Unless you have something else that you want to add, Chidandi Maharaj. Or Nemi.
No, I'm just so happy to be with all the devotees wandering through Vrindavan like this. It's such an honor to have an opportunity to speak representing Srila Gurudev's Harikatha, as much as we're able to share it on these remarkable places. I'm grateful.
Me too. I'm really grateful to be engaged in this way and hearing these pastimes and this katha. So thank you so much. And I know a lot of devotees are getting a lot out of this, so it's really such an auspicious undertaking. Anyhow, so it is now time to announce the evening program, where we will be going to the same places at 6 o'clock with Shripad Ashram Maharaj and Shriman Rasik Mohan Prabhu. And then at the same time, tomorrow we'll be going to Dira Samir, Gopeshwar Mahadev, Vamsivat, Brahmakund, and the Sri Govinda Dev Temple. And that will be with Pujapad Chidandi Maharaj, Pujapad Nemi Maharaj, and also Shriman Prakash Atma Prabhu is returning to us, and we'll be hearing from him too at one of the places. I can't remember which one though. Yeah, that is tomorrow. So yes, those are our announcements for the upcoming programs. Thank you so much for listening, and please stay on a little longer as Shriman Manas Prabhu will now be singing another beautiful kirtan.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Haribol Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Actually, I wanted to send you the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I just remembered. Sorry, I am taking long. Just 1 second.
No worries. we're ahead of schedule, so you can take all the time you need. Let me just get my WhatsApp up. Okay.
Okay, so first page is actually just one line. First.
That's this is a good opportunity to just remind devotees that in general, if they have questions for any of the speakers, that you're more than welcome to send them through to me on the Zoom chat. I won't necessarily be able to ask all of them. Maharaj briefed me specifically on the questions that he thought were relevant. But you can send any and all of them to me. And if there's time, if they're appropriate, I can ask them. So please do not hesitate to do that. Thank you very much. Okay, I just need to open up your
Yes, Guru.
Okay, just trying to work out. Okay, that's what songbook is this, by the way?
It's Radha-Raman Gita. It's Radha-Raman bhajans, all the Braj Bhasha bhajans, and all the pad of Thakurji.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it would be good to get hold of one of these, because it's, you know, with the Bengali kirtans, it's very easy to find English transliteration,
Yes.
with the Hindi or Bengali written it in English letters and translation. But with a lot of the Hindi songs, you can't find it. So it would be really good to get hold of one of these one day.
Yes. I'm planning to work with Madhukar Prabhu on this, like put these songs also in the Gaudiya Kirtan app.
Oh, wonderful.
So that would be good.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hoping to do some seva with him at some point, maybe related to that. So very nice. Okay, so if you want to introduce the kirtan you're singing.
No, I will just sing, and like people who are muted, they can just repeat after me.
Okay.
Like be like stay on mute, but just chant Radha-Raman with me. Yes.
So what I was saying is, when you're ready, you can start.
Yes. Just 1 second. All right. जिस देश में जिस वेश में परिवेश में रहो, जिस देश में जिस वेश में परिवेश में रहो, राधा-रमन 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 कहो. Everybody can repeat. Radha-Raman 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 kaho. Now the next page, Prabhuji. जिस धाम में, जिस काम में, जिस नाम में रहो, जिस धाम में, जिस काम में, जिस नाम में रहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो। जिस रंग में, जिस संग में, जिस ढंग में रहो, जिस रंग में, जिस संग में, जिस ढंग में रहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो. Everybody went to Radha-Ramana also on the Parikrama today. So, जिस रोग में, जिस भोग में, जिस योग में रहो, जिस रोग में, जिस भोग में, जिस योग में रहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो. जिस देह में, जिस घेह में, जिस स्नेह में रहो, जिस देह में, जिस घेह में, जिस स्नेह में रहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो. जिस राग में, जिस अनुराग में, विराग में रहो, जिस राग में, अनुराग में, विराग में रहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो. जिस मान में, सम्मान में, अपमान में रहो, जिस मान में, सम्मान में, अपमान में रहो, राधा रमन, राधा रमन, राधा रमन कहो, Radha-Raman, Radha-Raman, Radha-Raman kaho. जिस धर्म में, जिस कर्म में, जिस मर्म में रहो, जिस धर्म में, जिस कर्म में, जिस मर्म में रहो, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण कहो. राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण कहो. जिस ज्ञान में, जिस ध्यान में या स्नान में रहो, जिस ध्यान में, जिस ध्यान में, जिस शान में रहो, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण कहो. ओ राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण कहो. जिस लोक में, परलोक में, गौलोक में रहो, जिस लोक में, परलोक में, गौलोक में रहो, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण कहो. राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण कहो. राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण कहो. राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण, राधा-रमण कहो. हिताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल.
Haribol. That was such a beautiful bhajan. That was so beautiful. What an amazing bhajan. What an amazing bhajan. Is there an attributed writer of this bhajan, or?
I don't know. The book didn't say that it has a writer.
Wow. It was so sweet. Thank you so much for sharing that with us all. It was such a nice bhajan. Wow, I feel very fortunate. It's so beautiful. And I think people in the chat are agreeing too. Yeah, it was, and the meaning as well was so nice. Like, oh, it's just yeah, it's just so sweet and simple, but also such deep philosophy. It was just so incredible. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I feel very grateful. Thank you, Prabhu.
I feel grateful that I am getting, to sing and trying something here.
Yeah. That's very nice. I feel grateful that you feel grateful. Haribol. Thank you so much. No, it's really nice to hear all of these Hindi kirtans. Just so sweet. Before we finish, I wanted to ask Maharaj, someone has sent me a question. Are you still online that I can ask you this question?
Is it this Maharaj or the other one?
I don't think Nemi Maharaj is still here, so I'm going to just ask you, otherwise I'd ask both of you. Yes, the question is from Ramananda Prabhu, and it goes as follows. Is Ananga Manjari the only Manjari that gets to sit next to Krishna, or can the other Manjaris sit too, or is it that they prefer not to?
No, Ananga Manjari is her name, but she doesn't have the same mood as the other Manjaris in her dedication to Radha. Radha's her sister. She's her elder sister, but her Nishta is divided between Krishna and Radha, but in particularly Krishna. And she's extremely beautiful. She's exceptionally beautiful. She's the sister of Sri Radhika. So Krishna becomes attracted to her. And there's many descriptions of her exquisite beauty. And Krishna has a desire to consort with her. But unlike the other Manjaris, who would just run away and not want that sambhog connection with Krishna, Ananga Manjari is not like that. She actually is described as to have some confidential pastimes directly with Krishna. That's why she's on the altar. Not only on the altar, Ram, she's on the left-hand side of Gopinath in a number of places. Well, certainly in Radha Kund, she's right there. I mean, that's her kunj, Swananda Sukhada Kunj. You remember that place? That you just walk out of that temple and you have the bathing place of Janava Mata. So Janava Mata, Ananga Manjari, Swananda Kunj, and then we automatically remember simultaneously Baladeva Nityananda and his service mood in that ras. So it is an extremely confidential pastime that Srila Gurudev didn't speak about extensively, but it seems like there's a lot of jewels, because often you can ask different people about this and they just tell you it's too confidential and they don't go very far with it, you know? So I think perhaps in our lifetimes even, we may hear more about the speciality of Ananga Manjari. Ananga Manjari is described in the Radha-Ganadesh Deepika. She has so many different Sakis, and one of her Sakis, oh no, that's Champakalata Saki. Yes, she has 8 principal Sakis who support her, just like the Uteshwaris. So Ananga Manjari, her name is Manjari, but she's not like Rup Manjari or Lavanga Manjari or Vilas Manjari or Rati Manjari. She's not at all the same Tat Tat Bhav Ichamayi, not like that. It's a different tattva, Ram. You know, when he just asked me this question now, I was thinking, well, I didn't know it was going to be from you. And I was going to comment that, well, if I can't answer it, I'm going to ask Ram. And you're the one who asked me the question. Anyway, so no problem. No problem. But does that make some highlight?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
Something?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I'd like to spend more time exploring her and her nature. It's phenomenal to stand on the most intimate side of Gopinath in so many different places, taking Radharani's place. Radharani is always encouraging. She only wants, of course, Krishna's happiness. And if Krishna is going to be happy consorting with Ananga Manjari, then Radharani's the most happy to facilitate that. Whatever Krishna will get pleasure from. So it's very wonderful to. We know also, of course, that Ananga Manjari is her husband is Dramoda, the son of Jatila. She's her mother-in-law is Jatila also. So Ananga Manjari and Radharani, they're both in the same household. So Very intense relationships there.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. This is all
Thank you,
described in that little book of Gurudev's, that Radha-Gokulananda.
Oh, okay. I have it. Never looked at it.
Oh my God, Ram, you must look at this. This is so beautiful. So much is there. It's a jewel, an absolute jewel, total jewel. Okay.
I will. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Dhanyavad, Ram.
Thank you for your question, Ramananda.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Nice
Thank you for the
question.
answer.
Whenever Ram asks a question, I'm always ready to at least hear it and tackle it. I don't know whether I can always answer it, but at least I can hear it.
You do always, Maharaj.
No, just
You
appreciate it. I'll try.
Oh.
Okay, Tarunji, we must be on time, huh?
Yes.
2.5 hour session.
Yes, very.
Wow. Every day I think, oh, today's going to be a short day. And somehow every day it seems to just go out. I was thinking for me sitting here, it seems like a moment's gone.
Yeah.
How you feel about it, but it doesn't seem like 2.5 hours we've been talking with each other.
No, it doesn't. I think today's been a shorter day, but actually overall I think usually at this point we're maybe a little bit past half past, but I looked at the length of the evening sessions, and the evening sessions, although sometimes they're having 3 speakers, are much longer than our sessions. So I saw one was 3 hours and 45 minutes long. So so don't feel too bad about timeliness, Maharaj, because it seems like very long sessions.
I'm thinking of the devotees taking their lunch, noon prasadam, etc., and in England anyway, and don't want to disturb their programs. So anyway, it's efficient.
Yeah, it's true, but it's very nice either way. Anyway, Vansha Kalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo